to Module 5.3, Evaluating Options and Making Ethical Data-Driven Choice. In Module 2.3, we have talked about these particular tools, Flying High CD. Well, if you forgot, please refer back to Module 2.3. F stands for flexibility. It's talking about how flexible our mental. H about humility. How do we need to cultivate intellectual humility in a decision making? And how do we seek challenging information when we want to make decisions, as well as seek diverse perspective. And all in all, we call it a FH, Flying High CD strategy. So Flying High CD is going to be another field that we can use before we make a recommendation or decision. So let's see how can we apply this technique in a financial advisor role. So putting these 4 categories of strategy into the skill set, let's look into it. How do we apply also critical thinking in making a decision? For example, practice mental flexibility is talking about the ability to adapt thinking and consider multiple angles and avoid a rigid conclusion. Not be too systematic until you are become rigid or even stubborn with your own behavior. Okay, so when we practice mental flexibility with critical thinking behavior, what can we do? We clarify goals, compare options objectively, make evidence-based recommendation. Don't let your emotional or bias decide or lead the way, but rather pause and clarify before you move on. For example, clarify the client's real goal. Re-examine the assumption that what the client should want. Is it what the client should want or what the client really want? Is it from your perspective or is it from the client perspective? The goal is based on which perspective? And also recognize the goal might be changing from time to time because of the market situation change, because of the risk factor change. So how do we make options objectively, explore different solutions, even that's against your preference? How do we balance between risk and return, between liquidity and time horizon? So when you have the flexibility, you automatically put all the other behavior and risk into the consideration. Then you make a recommendation based on evidence, based on the data, and you adjust your strategy based on the market or the client's circumstances shift. Maybe the client now has lost a job, so they need a different way of investment. So try to look into the thing objectively rather than stay fixed with your anchoring bias. The next one, intellectual humility. How do we practice here? Well, recognizing limitations, avoiding overconfidence, for example, like what Mr. Wong had, and being willing to adjust views. A lot of time, especially when we are already good in what we are doing, we tend to overlook this part. We tend to think we are already the expert. So, acknowledge that your initial judgment may be incomplete. Identify your own personal bias and maybe emotional influence by others, by the market, by the herd pressure. Well, if we check this properly, then we will be doing a better consideration and even consider ethical implications. Is it something really ethical? Can it be something that I like others to do on me? Is it my preference product? What if my preferred product is not the best for the client? Try to view it and stay away from conflict of interest. This is the ethical implication that we need to apply when we are acting ethically. And one thing to watch out, sometimes we think we are experienced, but remember, experience and facts is two different things. Don't let your experience overshadow the real data. Face the reality and be willing to advise a different view if needed. Revise your advice if needed. Don't be too egos. Don't let your ego drive the decision, even you discover it is a wrong decision, a wrong recognition. Be honest with your own mistake. Seeking challenging information. Actively search for contradicting evidence, alternative explanations, or hidden risks. Gather valid data, for example, current market reports, product sheets, independent analysis reviews, risk rating tables. Is there any missing information? Look for evidence that contradicts to your first opinion. Test your conclusion. What information I might be missing that could hurt the clients? Put the client's interest, put the client's benefit on the first place. Assuming that you are buying this for yourself. Are you going to do extra searching? Are you going to challenge before you put your own money in? Seek diverse perspective. Try to consult using multiple viewpoints. Beside your own financial institute's data, try to get also analysis from other financial institutions. Broaden your understanding. Go for independent research. Look into the approach. Is it conservative, moderate, or aggressive? Try to present multiple scenarios for your clients. And if possible, try to clarify the client's real goal. Is the perspective the same from their spouse, from their business partner? Ask open questions so that you uncover the wider perspective and deeper perspective of the client's need, or even sometimes their fear. And once this is done properly, applying the critical thinking tools in your analysis, you are going to be able to present a more complete and more rational options for your customer. So in summary, mental flexibility helps us explore different strategies, and intellectual humility helps us to question our own assumptions our own bias, our own preference. And once we challenge the information, it helps us to look into our own blind spot, our own ability, our own inability to look at things objectively. And once we dip into diverse perspective, we are able to see things from a more wider perspective, more deeper perspective, and this gives us a more rounded, even more ethical decision. Now, after all this analysis has been done, the next one is that what recommendation should be made? How do we come to conclusion to make the options or decisions or helping our customer to make the right decision? So in the module 3, we also talk about evaluate options and alternative. Now, considering potential outcomes, risks, benefits, short-term, long-term gain, and when we put everything together, the next step we want is to evaluate the options. Now, again, your critical thinking skill come into play. Consider each of the potential outcomes. Consider all the things you want to do. Then make a right recommendations. So the tools you can use is like decision-making matrix to compare options against important criteria objectively. So we have covered this in module 3.3. So here in the application, I'm going to illustrate this using two products, namely product A and B. So I put in as the 4 criteria and 2 products. So the risk level for product A is medium, high for product B. The return is lower for product A, 4%. Product B is higher, 8%. Liquidity, high for product A, low for product B. And the client goal match. Product A matched strongly, whereas product B actually is a weak match. Now, with this information, should I recommend customer to go with product A or product B, which appear to be high return? So how do we then take a look at these two products and make a recommendation objectively using facts and data? So use back the decision matrix method and we put in the risk level, okay, the risk level for product A and B. So product A is rated as a higher risk, so I put there product A because the risk level is higher because the risk is medium, is lower risk than product B. So the weighting for product A is higher. Both weightage is the same, and this gives a score. When risk multiplied by weight, I hope you still remember, it gives the score. Now, in terms of return, product A is medium and product B is high. So I put 3 and 5 because 5 is giving a higher return. This is opposite with risk level, okay? And the weightage is 4, okay? And this is the score. Of course, you can change your weightage according to your real customer need. And in terms of liquidity, I put it as a weightage 3, and product A is high liquidity and B is low liquidity. So I put 4 and 2 as a rating. In terms of client goal match, again, 5 for product A because it matched strongly, 1 for B because it's a weak match. Again, the weightage for me, I put as 5. You might change your rating to simulate to what your real customer need. And as you can see, the score here is, total score here is the sum of all the individual score and shows that product A is 69% and product B is 41%. So this is the application of using decision matrix in the options proposal. So the final words before we end this submodule 5.3 is ethical advice. Client first active. Why client first matter? Remember, every piece of advice we give, it must be for the client's best interest, not because of our convenience, not because for our sales target, KPI, not in our personal preference. It is not just about moral idea, but rather this is a strategic idea. Why? The financial market, this industry, has many rules and compliance because the mistake you make can really hurt people. So we always want to put the client first into our mind. And naturally, we want to, with these guidelines, we want to avoid mis-selling, prevent compliance issue, remember, reduce the chance of complaint, avoid any legal and regulatory consequences. These are key as a financial advisor or in the financing industry. So if you are compliant to this, you are going to have peace of mind, right? So you can sleep well even at night. It is not about you help the customer to make money, but rather you give them the best advice, the best ethical advice based on your ability and the data you have. Now, what is the consequence? Client will stay loyal when they feel that you have genuinely helping to protect their wealth. And it, of course, reduce your reputation risk as well as compliance or any legal risk, because this is an area can put you into jail because of the non-compliance issue. Now, there's another deeper reason for you to be ethical. What goes around comes around. What you give is what you get. It's just like the boomerang. If you throw a boomerang out, it will come back. Sincerity builds long-term business and strong reputation. Ethical choice creates a safe and more successful future. When you protect your clients, you attract trustworthy people into your future. Helping others success, create conditions for your own success. Fair, transparent advice returns as respect and referrals. You are going to build long-term business with a strong reputation. Your ethical choice today create a more successful future for yourself, for your company. And when you protect your clients, it attracts more and more reliable clients for you. And there'll be referral for you. And this is creating your own success. Your long-term capital as an advisor is the trust. Trust from your client come back even during difficult markets. They stay longer with you. They refer their friend and family. They see you as a trusted partner, not a salesperson. This is how you build your reputation. Integrity protects your name and careers for decades. Reputation is your most valuable lifetime asset. And even I'm not from the financial field, I know how important is reputation in whatever field you are. And once you have a strong integrity and reputation, you are going to create a long-term foundation for your own career success. In the financial world, trust is your currency. Integrity is your capital. And reputation is your long-term investment. In finance, every decision leaves a trace. When we choose the ethical path, even when there is no one watching, the result comes back to us in the form of trust, reputation, and long-term success. What we send out is exactly what returns. Happy practice and be an ethical, successful advisor. In the next module, we are going to do a case study, case simulation. How do we apply critical thinking as a financial advisor?